WesWes Show.
This might be a fairly long segment. This one. The Knights pipping the Warriors. The Knights at home over the top of the Warriors. Warriors coming off of 2 back-to-back losses after a draw to Manly, and one I thought would target. So many things to go through. I'll come to you guys, but yeah, off the bat, like just that comparison to Peyton, like just the attitude of Webster. So still, I don't know if it's the same way he talks to the boys, but just still very calm, collected. Speaks through the press conference, and then you see Peyton he's disappointed. And so I kind of see two flavors because I'm like, well, is it time for the Warriors to have that same kind of rev up, like just to really be called out? Because Toddy, Webster kind of trusts them boys, trusts in their systems. And, he kind of like, we've got to kind of fix this stuff. Where Peyton kind of just was black and white and kind of, it's not good enough.
You want the full Butler approach.
Well, and that's the thing. So,
Butler, like, what?
Yeah. Because we're at a crucial point.
Your frustration on the team. What the fuck's going on out there, Tony?
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like we're at that point. We're at the beginning of the middle third of the season.
Not that kind of coach. You never see Cleary outbursts.
And maybe that's not the culture.
Only certain coaches are like that.
But it's like the Warriors have kind of come off, and I don't know what's happening. But is it the Fisher Harris thing has given these guys an out, going, okay, so this is just part of our 3-year, 5-year plan. But I'm like, you can't do that. After last year's performance, the expectations are up here now. You can't go back to settling for we're just in a building phase. Because last year showed, like, you don't need this build. Like, you buy into the concept, Webster brings you up, and now you're here. You can't go from here, drop all these games, and then expect to not be judged and be like, oh, hey, look, we're building into our season. It's like, you can't. You don't get that luxury when you've got such a team and built all these expectations, and you've done all the hard work to in the eyes of many, drop down to a point where it's like, well, how do we fix this? Because the Manly was, like off the back of the Rabbits, and you look at who the Rabbits are. So it's like, well, do we even count that? Because that's the most impressive we looked. And then you hit Manly and you get a draw, and then you have an ugly St. George game, and everyone goes, that's the worst we've played. And then you go up against the Titans, and you go, actually, that was the worst we played, especially with the build-up of Anzac. And now we just faced the Knights.
Excited after that team.
Yeah, and so it's just a snowball, like things just haven't. And I'm not being a hater, but I'm just saying, like, these are where we sit right now as a Warriors fan, and looking at what the Warriors have done. And another thing I want to throw in, is it time for Webster to swallow his pride and go, look, maybe I need to put my best fullback at fullback? Has he done the same experiment Adam O'Brien tried to do last year? He spent 5 rounds trying to put Ponga at half, and it just didn't work. Then he got injured.
Is that what you're saying?
And then he put him at fullback. Well, hey, yes, I am saying it. I'm not the coach. I said I trust in my coach, but I gave Klokstad 3. And it's not like Klokstad hasn't played bad. Like, you look at his stats. You look at Klokstad's stats. He hasn't played bad.
Why is he your scapegoat?
He hasn't played bad, so he deserves to still get a start. He'll probably go to centre. But I think the experiments, it hasn't worked. You sell it and you go. Yeah, I feel like well, we can keep going. Like, man, the theory of whatever they call it, it's insanity. It's insanity though. If you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, we've done it for the last however many weeks.
He's giving up.
It's not giving up. I'm just saying the trajectory should change, and it needs to. And
it's not. That's the fair thing.
It's easy for the next 2 games to be an out. So that's where I want to kind of end with. The next 2 games are easy out against the Roosters and Panthers, but this is our test. This is where we need a switch.
Good build.
Because if we want to kind of build a season,
the season could be done in a month.
Exactly.
The season could be done in a month. Because look at this next 7 games.
And these are the teams you want to. These are the teams you want to win against.
Dolphins. You know what? Let's be real. You ain't beating the Roosters. You ain't beating the Panthers.
Well, why not?
You could steal a win from the.
Well, wait. Like
you could steal.
Let's not go there yet. Like let's just get your comments on where we are.
Evidence. That's right. Evidence. Like you just presented us in the last 5 minutes. They've played well against.
But that's the thing. There's not enough evidence to what we've seen. There's not enough evidence to say they can't. Like that's what I'm struggling with. I think that's what anyone's watching them struggling with. Is where's the evidence to say, like, every game you go, they could have won that. They could, like, every game.
Get 2 points from a bye. Cowboys, Warriors in a month's time. That's over in Townsville. I'm going to be a realist and say nah. So you could steal a win from the Dolphins. You could steal a win. You got to get a win in the bye. That's 4. And then you got the Storm. Then you got Titans, and then you got the Broncos. I'll give you Titans. I'm not safe to give you Broncos. So that's 3 wins in the next 7 weeks. You're going to lose 4 games, bro, from the next 7 weeks. It's tough. This is
the middle third, so that's why it's a crucial period because that's origin period too.
Is the making or the breaking of your season, because you guys got to at least get 1 or 2 wins. Out of these 3 teams, Broncos, Storm, Bunnies, Roosters. If you guys can beat 1 or 2 of those teams, then I'd say they'd still be in the fight for the premiership, because I called it too. Well, I called them for the fucking... that's probably ruled out now, the minor premiership. But anyway, Stace, sorry, Miles. Come in, bro, come in.
Yeah.
You're the same one here. Where's it gone wrong, bro?
There's a lot to unpack in amongst all that, but I feel like I saw like your point about the draw. So I get that there's no easy games, and that's the beauty of the NRL. But the month we've had Seagulls, Dragons, Titans, Knights. That was the time that the Warriors should be pressing forward, because we haven't played the Roosters yet. We haven't played the Panthers. We got the Broncos. We got Melbourne again. So the hard part of the draw is still to come. This has been sort of the easy part.
So where's the evidence you're going to win these games, Tons?
So it's tough. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they, it feels like Webster's got his plan A and he's sticking with it. It's like similar to what you mentioned on the selections there, Tons. So he's outside of injury, he's basically stuck with the guys that he wants, and I think he's saying that it's an execution issue. Honestly, I wanted to see Te Mighty Martin. I put this up in our chat. Te Mighty Martin would be the guy that I'd be looking at. They're 2 Sean Johnson dominant and 2 right side dominant. So we saw in that game against the Knights, Sean Johnson runs it to the line, plays out the back to Chance, and he was just getting shut down straight away because it's quite predictable attack. You're not getting anything from the 5'8", so they need to get a bit more of a mix up there.
What's his name? The Bahrain guy's injured.
Yeah, I think that's why he's getting a reprieve, to be honest, because Metcalf and Chanel would be the obvious 2 guys, both of them out. So
Chanel's out as well.
Around 14.
Yeah, both of them. So that's sort of where Tim White is getting a reprieve.
I'd like to see Chanel come off the bench, man, because he's a bit of impact, man. And defensively too, man.
He's got good D. Yeah,
I don't know. Your forwards, bro, because Egan's been quiet, and those moves, those block plays that you do really well. It don't work when it's a slow play of the ball.
And it's predictable block plays. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you think about the Warriors last year, they went to that well so many times. And Dallin was Dalian Winger of the Year. He was like close to the top try scorers. Sean Johnson was close to Dalian Player of the Year. So it feels like we'll just carry on with those same moves and keep going to the right. But now teams are ready for those moves, and it's not working. And because it's not working, there's no and that's where it's sort of
I think
over.
that's why I mentioned Roger, because they're so Johnson centric that teams know you mark up on Johnson and it shuts down the play, because it's and I think we haven't been challenged. Like, I think you look, other than Metcalf, we had our full contingent last week, and it's like we haven't been tested either without a Johnson. Like it makes me nervous because like Johnson hasn't been out. Other teams, they've Panthers have lost Cleary, Broncos lost Reynolds. All these the Sharks, they had Nico out for a couple games too. So all these teams, have had that playmaker figure out, and they've managed to figure it out. Whereas we're so Johnson centric, and teams, I guess that's the other thing too. Like you look at the Panthers, like as much as you say it's predictable, the Panthers game plan is so simple but executed perfectly. Every team knows it's Yo going out, he's the ball player, but you just can't defend it because they pull it off impeccably. But I guess it's those options as well. You've got Yo, you've got Cleary, you've got Luai, whereas the Warriors are struggling with Johnson. And I guess the fear for me is the trajectory. You start bad on field, similar to the Rabbits, and then you have a key player.
Oh shit!
Exactly, but the cliff you look at is kind of the same way these conversations go. Your performance starts bad, and so people start looking at the playmakers. The playmakers are okay. Well, they're still doing, like Johnson's still performing. Like you look, he's our key guy, so you can't blame it on Johnson. So where do you go next? So now these conversations start looking at maybe the coach, and you start having these dramas. All it takes is some random guy to have some off-field incident between now and the Panthers game, to all of a sudden the wheels are falling off, and the Warriors might be looking for a new coach. And that's the thing. Like when I looked at the game last week, you look at the Knights game. The Knights were in the same position last year. Adam O'Brien was staring down the barrel. Ponga came back and led them on that amazing run. And then this year, it's like, well, yeah, without Ponga, you're looking down the same. Whereas they stood up last week, so it's like, does the team need to start playing for their coach?
To be honest, they were poor. The Knights were poor last week. We were just worse.
Yes.
That was one of the worst games.
And that is the concern. We
were
worse.
It was two bumbling teams. We should have put them away. Anyway, yeah. One not positive, I will say, Dylan Walker, when he came on, he provided a bit of punch off the bench. So, in a pretty down month, he was pretty good.
So yes, I guess to leave on a hopeful note, that's my call for this week, is we take the Roosters and we take the Panthers, because that's we haven't done good work to build a season, but you've got a shocker season. Like if you can't build one, then you make a season, and I guess that's what the guys really need to turn around. You need to believe. You need, like, internally, they need to have the belief that we're still the same team that everyone looked at the beginning of the season. Like you asked for the evidence, and it's like, well, it's the same guys that started the season, the same guys that ended last season. So if they, I guess everyone throws it out like after this week. If they can't hit these two, because then it's the same as last year. It's like, I guess the same. Oh, actually, we'll get to the Sharks next. It's the same trajectory where they were like, these guys can run rampant over guys in the bottom 8, but when it comes to the actual teams that count, they can't do it. So that's kind of this is the beginning of the middle third of the season. You got the origin period as well, where some of those teams are weakened. So it's a real opportunity for the Warriors in this middle third to kind of switch the season.
It's the origin. We're playing Broncos there in June or something like that. We're going to be a high representative team, so I don't know, bro. I wouldn't discount them. Like I said, if they can get maybe 3 or 4 wins out of that 7, then they're still alive.
Even for the players, like for themselves too, not just for a season. Like some of these guys, like 2-3 weeks ago, were in Origin talks, and for all of these guys, you'd hope, like, is the Warriors a team that just kills Origin dreams? Because Brett Tate fell over Origin contention when he came to us. You think of Vanua Blake, he was there or thereabouts. He didn't get mentioned last year. He was mentioned earlier this year. Now that's gone. Wade McKinnon was in that number 9. Now everyone's like, Uppy and Reece Robson. Yeah, McKinnon's lost his chances. Mitch Barnett, like 2 weeks ago, people were saying maybe Mitch Barnett's contention. Now he's got, so
I'll pick
Yeah,
Mitch
so
Barnett.
it's like, how do we
Too bad. The forwards have been giving you guys enough ball, enough territory.
Well, then that's
like,
another thing then, because we have these
turtles
20-minute
fail.
spurts.
You guys getting
So
the
is our
chances.
rotation not as good?
Well, the bench isn't
Yeah.
there, so normally you get
You
Nukore.
said you guys got one of the best benches like fucking a month ago, bro.
Yeah, when
here
we have
go.
Dylan Walker, Nukore, Chanel, Jazz Tevanga, and all these guys, but they've all been out. Dylan Walker's just come back. Nukore's been out long term. Chanel's out long term.
You don't like Tomale? You're not impressed with Jake LeBun?
I'm not impressed with Tom Mali.
Hey,
no.
What about
he's fucking
Bunty?
got some
Bunty's
skills.
been alright too, eh?
What happened to
Bunty's been alright, but even again, he's been out for
He's
a
always
couple of
solid.
weeks too. So that's where there's
Bunty's
you can
honest, bro.
notice
You
a
can go
fall off. You can notice a bit of a fall off when the Warriors, not so much this weekend, but the previous couple of weeks, they've
Noticeable.
been outstanding the first 20 minutes and get off to a good start.
Yeah,
And
especially that Titans
back,
game.
I think
That was so obvious, that Titans game.
For Noah come off.
All right.
So that's where they need new quarter.
No. That's
Are you done?
We're gonna do a City Warriors session, so let's move on. The Sharks